Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and a special weekend. You thought you weren't going to get a Juan Epstein. It's been a couple weeks, but I'm back. Of course, Cipha is not here, but we are all used to that at this point. Roc Marci is here, though. What up?
Sir, yes, sir. What's good, brother?
The Roc Marci album, Rosebud's Revenge, is out right now. If you're a Juan Ep listener, like meaning you're a true hip-hop head, you love the best that hip-hop has to offer, and you've never sat with a Roc Marci album, this is good news for you. I'm actually jealous of you because you will get to experience his whole body of work. Was 3 albums we just said? 3 full albums, 3 studio albums, which are all amazing if you are just like a fan of hip-hop.
Thank you.
And I mean that. I mean, if you're ahead in the lane of you're into the Petes, the Pete Rocks, you're into the Dooms, you're into I'm talking about the real, it's really hard to describe the sort of genre you fit in. Like, it's slow, it's a lot of it's dark, it's soulful. Yeah. Like, if that's what it's a specific lane for real heads, which has to be actually pretty satisfying for you because operating in a niche is somewhat nice because you really know it's not going to be music that makes you millions and millions of dollars, but when you do it well, what it does is it gives you a fan base that's kind of probably always satisfied with your music. You know the people who love you. I'm sure everyone loves this album. You delivered again.
Yeah, it's definitely. I can't complain, man.
No one hits you and they're like, "What is this bullshit? I don't know what you're on." Roc Marci, like it's you do it.
1 out of a million,
right?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But like you do what you anyway. So Roc Marci's here, and we'll talk a little bit about your come up in Long Island. Yeah. But we were just talking casually, and some days I'm in the mood to do the podcast in terms of really being historical, and sometimes I have someone around. I think it's just fun to talk about hip hop. And today's the day that the Kendrick Lamar album came out. So when I was just telling Roc off the air that I was thinking about last night when I'm in the gym, like, what's the show going to be tomorrow? What are we going to talk about? Am I going to love this album? Maybe it's the first time I'm disappointed. We don't know. So I listened to the album, and if you've listened to Damn, it's a very interesting listen. It grows, it changes the way Kendrick albums tend to, and by the end, I was just left with, like, for lack of a better word, damn. Like, this guy. So I went on the air. To make a long story short, this is the conversation I like to have with you. I went on the air today, and I said, I'm gonna say it, and I know there are people react a certain way. I've waited to say this. I've waited. There are times I wanted to say it before. I think Kendrick's the best. And they were like, "Oh, the best of right now." I was like, "No, I think Kendrick's pretty much the best." Like, I think I'm not saying the greatest because he doesn't have the hits. He doesn't. He has. There's some. He's not Hove. He hasn't done the things Hove has done. But in terms of rapping ability and how that's used to make good music, because I'm not going to get into a whole talk about like fucking battle MCs who can't rap on a beat and who just do good battles. But I'm talking about when you talk about rapping and making great songs with that rapping ability. Is there anyone who, in your mind, like, do you think I'm crazy for that? Is there anyone that you're like, oh, I know they're better than Kendrick?
I mean, no, it's definitely, you got a good argument with that, man. I mean, I can't.
It's reasonable at this point.
I always, and I always say that about Kendrick. Like, he seems to satisfy everybody. There's something there for everybody, and not everybody has that. Some people, you can't find nothing in it that you like. You know what I'm saying? I think Kendrick he does that for, I know he does that for me. So, I appreciate him as an artist. Is he the best ever to me? No, that's your opinion.
Who's your best ever?
The best ever to do it.
And by the way, that's my opinion today. That could change. Yeah, all I wanted to do was be like, let's put him in the conversation. By me stating,
Smalls is the illest.
And listen, that's totally.
Smalls is the illest.
And by the way, again, totally reasonable argument. Yeah. All I wanted to do by saying it today was let's start putting him in the reasonable conversation. Okay. That's all it is to me. When I it's just my opinion at this moment. Okay. A few weeks ago when I was celebrating Biggie's album, I was really on some Biggie's the best ever. But the bottom line is, Biggie's never going to come out of my conversation as the best ever. No, and to me, at this point, 4 albums in, I don't think Kendrick's coming out of that convo to me now. I think it's the Biggie, Nas. This is just for me. Biggie, Nas, Pun, Rakim, Hove, Eminem, Kendrick. I think that's Kendrick now. I think it's time. And I think it's hard for us as older cats to put someone who's newer there. Yeah. But I think sometimes you have, listen, if we're going to put people like a G-Rap, someone who changed the way people rap and who's iconic, But G-Rap only had, a couple of albums that were really impacted the culture. It's about time that after 4 fucking great albums, you grow up and you go, I can't only live in the artists who I first heard. You have to. The culture keeps going. Like Roc Marci, you didn't become a name that was making. You're a new artist relatively in terms of your solo impact. Yeah. You're talking about the last decade,
True.
Right? That's been your decade. Is the last decade. So I certainly hope that people are able to add new people to their lexicon. True. Because otherwise, you wouldn't have made the cut. No one could be like, oh, he's for that new shit. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in that. I think that. It's small-minded. It's for people who thought this culture was going to end after 15, 20 years. Bro, this just keeps going. Hip-hop's not getting less popular.
I mean, I put dudes up there like my brother Kai.
Oh, Kai's special.
Kai's one of the best lyricists I ever heard.
Have you guys toured?
No, we haven't toured. No.
What's your relationship?
Me and Kai?
Yeah.
Kai's my brother.
Really?
That's a real friend of mine.
By the way, you got to get him up here for my podcast. I've never talked to him.
For real? Oh, okay.
And I, as far as I know, I'm the first person, maybe the only person to ever play him on mainstream radio. Yeah. But I've never had a conversation. I know he's kind of like he's not big on like the promo life and shit like that, right?
Kai works.
He's just he's still a firefighter.
Yeah.
So he just does his job.
The chief, actually.
He's the fire chief.
The chief.
Bro, you know how interesting that fucking story is? That's crazy. Yeah, he's in Long Island too?
No, Kyle's in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah, Kyle's in BK.
And how did that relationship emerge because of just being like-minded in style, or how'd that come to be?
Yeah, he did a record over one of my beats for the Jizza's album. I did a track for Jizza on Pro Tools for the album. He did the song pretty much, and Jizza was on the hook. So I remember when I did the beat, and I left the beat with my man Dreddy Kruger, who was helping Jizza get beats. So he was like, "Yo,
what's Dreddy's main job? Is Dreddy an A&R / producer, like
something like that?"
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
I know he's always been around those Wu affiliated projects.
Like so yeah, he was like, "Yo, let me get these couple beats." I was like, "All right, cool." So he hit me up, was like, yo, we use one, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, all right, cool. So I'm expecting to hear Jizza. You know what I'm saying? It's Kai.
You start hearing some shit you've never heard before.
He was like, it ain't Jizza, but you gonna love this. I was like, all right, cool.
And you had not heard Kai yet?
I never heard Kai. And I was like, oh, this nigga's ill. It's like, yo, he was like, for real. I was like, yo, he is ill, B. So he was like, yo, I'm gonna plug you with dude. So Kai plug, he hit me up. He was like, yo, you got more tracks like this or whatever and stuff. I was working on Mossberg at the time. I was like, yeah, I got some stuff. Actually, I want you to, come through. We could chop it up. He came through, chopped it up, and I ended up putting him on my album. He's such a cool dude, and we had, we was on the same vibe as far as musically what we was trying to do. So, and ever since then, we've been tight.
Y'all ever consider a full album?
Yeah, we doing a full album.
It's happening.
Yeah, we doing a full album. Yeah,
because that just seems like one of the things I've really grown to enjoy in hip hop these days is like-minded individuals who make similar good music coming together and having a bigger impact together.
Yeah,
I think Run the Jewels kind of started this whole thing, right? Like taking these two great talents and being like, I mean, in the case of them, you guys are much more of a no-brainer. Like, I would have never even guessed LP and Killer Mike.
Metal Clergy. Metal Clergy is our group name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we had started on something, put it to the side.
A while ago.
Yeah, we had started and was like, yo, we're going to come back to it. Let's get to work on we still got things we need to do for our solo career. So, we're going to come back to it. But, yeah, we're about to get back in on it.
What's it like being a regular guy rapper? And by that I mean, as you talked about, you like having your privacy.
Yeah.
You get great respect from those who know, and yet on an average day, I'm sure you can walk the street and not get bothered for a full day.
Yeah.
And then you have a day where you go do a show, and after you do your show, you're superhero rap man. Everyone wants a picture, everyone blah blah blah. But then the next day, you go back out to dinner with your family, and you're good again.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what that lifestyle is like, and if that was always what you sort of desired.
Yeah. Well, the lifestyle is definitely, it's my lifestyle, because if anybody knows me, they know I'm private. I've never been a hang with the crowd kind of person, you know what I'm saying? I think hip-hop kind of pushes you to kind of live that lifestyle. And I always was the dude in the club, like, what am I doing here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to just go somewhere and chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it fits my lifestyle, man, and that was the plan. You know what I'm saying? To be bigger, you know, it would be cool, but let it happen organically. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Well, what level would that be, though? Like, if you're not that guy, what level do you think you'd really enjoy? Like, is there another artist you see and you go, you know what? That space would be cool. Like, if I was hovering at that level. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to be Big Sean and have a famous girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need that, but this could work. Is there anything you see like that out there?
In the game right now.
Or even previously?
That would be a tough one, man. The only people that come to mind, like if I could think of something like that, would probably be like, you know, like you know, dudes in the Wu. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not Method Man, but, you know, I could probably move around like, you know what I'm saying, like somebody else in the Wu, maybe like a Ghost or a Ray. Like, I could tolerate that. You know what I'm saying? I could,
right.
I could, you know, I couldn't
getting great respect from people.
Yeah, I couldn't tolerate like not walking down the street though. I couldn't tolerate that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're not trying to like go to the mall and it becomes like a scene.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like that's fine.
You know, I haven't asked Meth about that, and I wonder if at this stage, even still, because of the level of mainstream success that Meth got to. Yeah. Right. I mean, because Ray is a big star, but Meth with movies, with a TV show, there was a level of crossover fame, and that like he could be in a mall in suburban white America, and white girls would be like, "Oh my God, Method Man's here." That's a different sort of thing altogether.
Absolutely.
Whereas you go to the Beverly Center, and
I'm going to Beverly Center by myself
all
the time.
And nothing. You're
all
good.
the time, yeah. Like
that's
you
life.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a neighborhood. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was, you know, in LA, I stay right around the corner from the Beverly Center, so I kind of treat it like a personal closet. I'm always in there, and nobody ever really like bothers me.
So what's it like when you go sit down somewhere? Let's say you want to go watch the Knicks or something, like whatever it is. You just being a New Yorker, and you start that chat. I just think about it being funny that, you know, you're talking to some random dude, and he's like, "So what do you do, bro?" And you're like, "Well, you know, I'm a rapper." Like that's sort of
I tell him I'm a producer. I don't really go into the rapping because then
you think it's judgmental? You think it's like a
I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, I just don't want to go into it too much. I'm just like, yeah, I make beats. That's about it.
Right, I'm a music producer.
Yeah, I don't really
and they go, "Oh, that's interesting."
Yeah, that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's simple. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's
What's your how many kids you got?
I got one.
Just one kid.
Yeah, just one.
And is everyone the fam's in LA?
Yeah.
And
in the Bay.
Fam's in the Bay.
Yeah, in the Bay.
And you're in LA.
Yeah. So
you go back and forth?
Yeah, I go back and forth. Well, you know, now I've been in New York making the rest of Rosebud. I finished up my album out here. So, but when I'm out there, I go back and forth to the Bay. You know what I'm saying? Back and forth from LA to the Bay.
And you enjoy both?
Yeah, I love them both.
And what about here? Like, how are you? Your relationship with New York, is it just part of who you are? So you need to spend time here, to be with your family, your parent, exactly. Your childhood family,
exactly.
and your people, and then you know get your New York juices up, and then like, all right, I got enough. I'm gonna head back out there.
Man, like I was telling you, the weather. I'm just over New York weather. I love it here. Like I love it when the weather this is my time to be in New York when the weather
starts getting nice
and the sun. Yeah, the sun's out.
Boy, is it breaking slow this year though.
Yeah, for real.
Like enough is enough. It's been like your man Jazz is here wearing the full leather sleeve. Like it's still. I walked out today with no jacket. My wife was like, "Did you hear it's going to be warm?" I was like, "Man, I'm already walking out. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm just done. Like, I'm done. I don't feel like putting on a jacket today. I'm done."
I didn't want to, but I bought one just in case.
Yeah, because I mean, when you
just in case.
So yeah, you've just had enough of that part of it.
Yeah, it's the weather, really. You know, being out in LA got me spoiled to just be able to. Every day is a reason to go out. You look outside, it's like, man, it's beautiful. Like, go out, do something. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
it is a quality of life. And I don't know when. You know, the more I look at my life and the way I live and how much work I do, I don't know when I'll get to do it. But when I'm in LA, which I'd say is I probably spend when you add it all up, maybe I spend a month there out of the year. You know, just 4 days here, 6 days here, 3 days here. But like with the time that I'm there, I spend so much more time sitting outside, you know, or having a business meeting over a drink instead of like here, everything I'm doing is like, you'll come by the station, we'll talk real quick, blah, 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 blah. Next thing. I have a meeting after this. Right after I finish the interview, I have to meet with someone. I just told them, come to the station, because when I go home, I want to go home and sleep. When I'm in LA, now, granted, it's not where I live, so you're able to keep a different schedule when you're visiting somewhere. But it's just like I'm more apt to want to go out, to sit, you know, let's go meet somewhere, sit outside. You know, it's just a different energy. But at the same time, your style seems so informed by the New York experience. Musically, how did you come up? Like, what was your parental influence in music? Or did it come from your home, or did it come from elsewhere?
A little bit in the home. You know what I'm saying? A little bit in the home, but it's like I grew up in the house with Isley Brothers and, Funkadelic and stuff like that, and my, in my mom's crates and stuff like that, Eddie Kendricks and, things of that nature, Michael Jackson, Prince. And then when hip-hop came, it was like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember Run DMC, like, you know what I'm saying, and Sugar Hill.
Were your parents into any of it?
No.
They were into the soul stuff.
Yeah,
they weren't messing with the hip-hop.
Like, so, I got into that, but I started getting into hip-hop more, like, when Ultramagnetics came, and, Eric B. and Rakim, PMD, that's when I was like... The
second iteration, kind of.
That's when I was like, I could be a part of this. Like,
it's interesting you say that, too, because I think that's just the more accurate tale of what hip-hop was. The initial late 70s to mid-80s version of hip-hop had dope stuff in it, and it set the table. And by the way, it goes right back to our Kendrick conversation about hip-hop changes, right? I said earlier today.
Why'd I come here on a Kendrick Lamar release day? I knew this was going to happen.
We gotta have hip. This got to have talk.
Nah, that's good.
No, but I feel you. But I was saying earlier, I was like, Bob Cousy said that he was regarded as the best point guard ever, and maybe 15 years ago he said, all the things people thought I was so great for, every 10-year-old on a playground could do. And to be honest, and I know this comes off as sounding disrespectful. I'm sorry, we're all grown-ups, so we can have a real conversation. You look at what someone as great as what Melly Mel did, same comparison. What Melly Mel did rap-wise is there are 13-year-olds out there who learn rap, and they're like, oh, I can do that, and they learn that part. So the culture changes and evolves, and I think that a lot of times there are a lot of people who the 80s stuff, the mid-80s stuff was cool, and if you lived through it and you were an adult at that point, I think you were like, holy shit. But for the young people at that time, and babies basically, it was that late 80s. It was getting to 88. It was the Boogie Down Productions, the Big Daddy Kane. It was when it started going from hibbity hop hop Scooby Doo to like rapping as we know it today.
Exactly.
That changed the way it felt.
And the beats.
And the beats. Well, the beats all changed.
And the beats.
Marley, you could really just individually look at Marley as changing the way the whole thing felt. Before that, they're dope. Like, don't get me wrong. Sucker MCs is probably my favorite beat pre-85. Yeah. But like a lot of it you hear and you're like, it was either just a really basic sample that I didn't even realize at the time was just like a ripped off song played again. Yeah, a lot of those like classic Treacherous 3 records, shit like that, they were just taking a popular record and rhyming on it, which was dope, and that's what it was. But once you get to a point where Marley starts doing what he was doing, it became what it is. Yeah. And then you fast forward a few more years and you get to Pete and Dre, and now we're talking about this is a thing, like a culture beyond belief.
Turned it into like science.
Yeah.
Became science, like, and that's when my interest was peaked. In the beginning, I felt like it was more just, it was another, it was of course it was something new, but it was entertainment, like more like it wasn't more about like, it was just making, catchy records, catchy hooks, kind of like, like regular music. It fit right in.
Right.
Then it didn't fit in so much.
It became own
rebel music, like, Public Enemy. Yep. Like, what is this noise? Like, it started out as something that you could play around your parents to something that you couldn't play around your parents.
Right.
Like, you got to hide this. Like, you playing NWA. What is that back there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Boogie Down Productions, listen to my 9mm go bang. It started to become like a dirty secret.
Yep. You remember before, in the era right before that you were talking about, even all the way up to like 80 and 90 maybe, you would go to the music store and hip-hop was in the soul section.
Yeah. It
was just, you had to dig through and it'd be like, oh, it was an offshoot of soul R&B. And then, by the time you get to 94, every week there's 4 new releases coming out on major labels and a section at the store where there's tapes top to bottom.
Signing everything.
Bro.
Was signing everything.
Everyone was getting an advance.
I had a few deals on the table as a kid.
Really? How old?
17.
And what was the first one? Anything that we remember? Did anything come of them?
Yo, what was that label, Jazz? That remember Saltine and them was signed to that label? Was it Def America or something like that? Def America.
Oh, it was Def America.
Yeah, Def America.
Rick Rubin.
They was filling my demo. Yeah, that I had with the homies. Who else?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Who else?
Is it did anything come out? Any videos get made? Any?
No, actually, the deal just went sour. Like, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes it's just too many. You know, we was young, you know what I'm saying, and it was a couple of us, and, you know, some, you know how it go, like, you know, people start calling, like, yo, what about me, you know what I'm saying? And,
was it already people from the UN?
Or
not yet?
No, not yet.
This is different.
Nah.
So how did the UN come together and Pete Rock get into the picture in that whole situation?
Oh, okay, that came from some records we had did in my basement. At that time, I had a little studio set up. I was staying at my man's. I was renting a basement out. And my man Ox, I was working with him. And he had a studio set up. I was renting the basement, so I was making music down there. And I had the homies come through to make a joint. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, we all can rhyme. Like, yo, let's get on a couple joints together. We did like 2 joints. Then Scott Free from Loud Records ended up hearing it. And it just kind of like started to take its own shape like after that, like, you know what I'm saying. And it wasn't like that was the plan out the gate, but once we did the record and the record started circulating and people started hearing it, he offered like a situation, and then it was just like, all right, well, I guess we doing this now, you know what I'm saying. So that's how it happened organically. And
then is this like Future Flavors time?
Yeah.
So Pete starts playing like what, Nothing Lesser? Mm-hmm. What was that? Was that around the time?
Nothing Lesser, Cake. Stuff off the Pete instrumentals. And me and Pete was recording a lot of music together, you know what I'm saying? So he was playing a lot of my solo joints up there,
just
too,
playing
that we were
joints.
Creating. Yeah, so I never forget, we were sitting in the car one night and Future Flavors was on. I was with Busta. At the time, I was still signed to Busta, actually.
I forgot you were
signed to Busta at the time. And he was like, yo, like Future Flavors was on, and I kind of like had it blocked out for like, you know, Future Flavors was at prime time. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like nighttime in New York City. It wasn't no day slot. It was like, it wasn't too late and it wasn't early.
It was the Sundays at 11 or whatever.
Yeah, it was like, it was good. So it was like, yo, it was pretty good slot. And I kind of like had the station kind of locked down for a while. We sitting in the car, like Bus heard like maybe like 3 or 4 of my joints like back to back. He was like, yo, like, you got a slot in New York? This is a big deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't like nothing regular. I was like, man, I didn't look at it like that. But, yeah.
It is interesting to think about that, though, because you had a direct pipeline to the people.
Yeah.
Because Pete, at that time, he would come in with the DATs. I remember I would be listening.
Straight from the studio.
Yeah. And Pete would just play flames. And this is when Pete was really in this, the second sort of iteration of his career. This was the second run. Because like the early 90s was that first run, and then the 97, 98, 99, like that whole period was another run for him.
Yeah.
This is post Soul Survivor, so this is like what, 2000, something like that, 01?
Yeah. Yep.
So that whole like 5-year period, he was just hitting
yeah.
with so many joints and Pete instrumentals, and that is rare. And it's interesting. It was such a long time ago. That was, you know, it was a long time ago.
Shout out to Pete, too.
Yeah, shout out to Pete Rock. And I'm sure it impacted you to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like having that direct moment. Like that's how I remember you, is that you were Pete's guy. And there was all these Pete Rock records.
Absolutely.
And now here we are 15 some years later.
Yeah.
And I'm still a fan of your music because it developed into your own thing, but you were given an opportunity and like to have some, and that's what's so important, man. Like that's so many young artists, when they're trying to figure out what the thing is that sets it off. Yeah. And for so many of them, I'm like, man, it's not about getting a cheap bullshit cosign, paying someone for a feature necessarily. That can be helpful. You could luck out. But more often, man, it's just someone taking an interest and being like, because people ask me, like, what do I do? And I ask other artists, I'm like, how did you go from your SoundCloud being, you had 300 listens to now you got 15,000 listens? Yeah. That gap right there, it's not about getting from 15,000 to 100 million.
Yeah.
Because I can understand how you go from 15,000 to 100 million.
Yeah.
Because that 100 million shit, when people just start listening all the time and the kids start, it just becomes a thing. And then SoundCloud, your SoundCloud's smart as shit. It figures out what people want to hear. And then it starts giving people your shit.
Yeah.
I get it at that point.
Yeah.
But how do you go from being, I'm just a kid who uploads music and my friends hear it, to now there's a community of thousands of people who want to hear my music? And that's challenging. And at that time, obviously, this is a different era. It's not the internet. You worked hard and got to meet Pete Rock, who got to be that avenue for you. I've been fortunate enough to have times when I've gotten to be that avenue for someone else and be like, there have been people who had a regular, like there are people to this day, like Action Bronson knows when he puts out a record, if it pops in my email, I'm not even listening to it. I'm just hitting play. Yeah. And that's what Pete was like for you.
No doubt.
It was like, oh, we recorded this?
No doubt.
Well, I'll just clean it and play it.
Exactly.
That's all there is to say.
I mean, he's the man there at the time playing the records. So, I mean, I didn't look at it like any strategy at the time. So
of course.
Like, damn, I'm making records with a dude who got a slaughter behind 97. It's like kind of smart.
Right. That's like, pretty good.
Producer. Yeah, so,
and then you fast forward, and here we are. So I just wanted to give everyone a minute. I hope most of the people listening are well aware of Roc Marci, but if somehow there were people that weren't, I thought this would be great for you to come on the podcast, because the Juan Epstein listenership is people who should be your fan base.
Thank you for having me too.
Of course.
Thank you.
So I wanted to make the most of it. We did an interview for Real Late, which you can hear this Sunday, and there'll be a little video up on Hot 97. But I thought it was important to do the podcast because this audience right here, and matter of fact, I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I'll play a couple joints.
Please.
So I'll play a couple joints for free. You can have these joints, and then hopefully you'll go out buy the album on iTunes. His name's Roc Marci. It's called Rosebud's Revenge. And the next thing you're going to do for me is help me get Kai up here so we can hear his story.
Yeah, I'll tell Kai to come up here.
I would love to get to, I want to hear his full story, man. So interesting. Roc, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Doubled up while I'm young, play double dutch. My new Mac 11 came with the muzzle on the front. This ain't no front. My taste buds trump your flavor of the month. Raps with me, you can't name one. I paid a lump, the table spun. I did my blunt, angel dust. The gauge pump, turn your brain to mush. The slug make potato bust. I match what that Draco does. Give you a halo while I'm sniffing J-Lo butt. It made a player face go numb. Beef with me and mine lead to E. coli. You're not bona fide, them hoes. I just slide. I had a moment. The sky open. You're not potent. Your ibuprofen. This is heroin, that brown, not that yellow. They stepping all over it. If you look close, you can see the Louis Loafer print. Put his toes in it. No, it's over with. Shoulder ship, shootouts for foes. Your Lord, hold up. I think my shoulder hit. I'm hit.
You say what? You caught one up? Let me see. That's a shoulder one. Went straight through. Good. Let's go.
Get back. Don't think you can't get clear that where you living at. Fast, I'm getting a trick bag. They send you to your mama's gift wrap. That's where I'm at. We gon' kill you at. How real is that? How real is that? Get them back. Yeah. Feast of famine. I'm by the sea tanning. Female companion speaking Mandarin. To get a glimpse of me, the freaks clamoring. I'm in Miami wearing your rent on a pair of kicks. And that depend on where you live. I'm thinking somewhere near the Calvin Klein underwear air. Fresh to death, they thought I slept in Tupperware. This the upper tier. This for the puppeteers. Run your career with just the muscles in my hand. Might back, but I don't cut hair. Pair with the toes. Melt just like a butter square. You ain't nothing but a square. You bum, you just here sucking up air. My right hand stare like Thunder Man. I'm good money. Little buddy, I'm no Huggy Bear. I had you on Huggies. Just like the ones a pet monkey wear. Got it here. You a college kid. We share no common thread. Prada, not diamond brand. I'm just saying. No disrespect, just costs a lot of bread. I'm on your head. Get back. Don't think you can't get clear that where you living at. Fast, I put it in a trick bag. They send you to your mama's gift wrap. That's where I'm at, we gon' kill you.
feel. Cause I thought I was cool, and my woman was just another fool. I wouldn't just be for real. Cause my mind refused to believe my heart could lose.
Yo, might spot me in the morning roaster. Something bad up on the corner. I'm standing like Anaconda.
And when I
caught the over. People pointing, yo, there goes Rosebud. All my clothes broke. Blood. Bone brought up in the button up. Button it up. You see me and the homie here busting it up. Crunching numbers over sucking the duck. I was stuffed. The wine was robust. I rolled the blunt up. My presence, somebody's wealth. My wrist Rocky, now Versace belts. The white got it from Raphael. Pockets swell, I got the intel from Gollum's out Roswell. Now I got what Ross and Jerry Seinfeld. I cut your wives' tail, snow old wives' tail. Stables filled with Clydesdales. We say bombshells to quell all dry spells. We top shotters, shot up by a pot of hot Caddy pass. Scallywags can't carry my calf belly back. Young Halle Bass, something real Mac or Mary. She got the fat Mary Mariella. I tried, but I don't wanna live a lie. Why would I? Goodbye, ma, we had a good time. I know I'm a good guy. Maybe somewhere down the line, I'm still fine. But for now, I'm just killing time. You know what I'm saying? Never know, baby. Stay in pocket, stay cool. You never know. But for now, I'm just killing time. Damn, flying in from Panama with tan lines. Might paint the S5 camouflage. I was handed a baton. My feet was in the sand of San Juan. Female companion. I stole it from a man in club Zanzibar. She got my bread and Roseanne bar. The answer was in the stars. She said my hands were soft. I parked the Phantom. She said the old man's in the hands were Thor. Baby doll was enthralled. We indulged. No gold sips of crystal. It was in the crystal ball. I was wearing Christian Dior. The fortune teller showed this to me when I was a little boy.
I wouldn't stay out of the street.
Never could. Already seen this. Shit like this.
And when I had her love right in the palm of my hand, new women kept calling me.
Hello? Yo, what up? Who this?
Cause I told them all I was alone tonight.
Oh, you know it.
So I'm to blame.
Trail of broken hearts, we like ocean sharks, composer art, black Mozart, make the fart, vanilla ice cream, cookie dough parts, no need to cook for me, yo, ma, just know I'm goody mob, I'm good, ma. Keep with all my jewelry on, my woods a chili dog, I'm killing these, my crib look like a mini mall, just bought a Bentley, I'ma get me 20 more for all my dogs, I feel like Boston George, with Michael Jordan shorts, water sports, need more passports, the Europeans, I'm like Hasselhoff, when you see me hats off, then pass the torch. Going back and forth and clapping at your boss. For trying to tap the source, your thoughts to turn to applesauce. Y'all already know it. Your thoughts to turn to applesauce, baby. Easy money. Shout out.